Hello everyone, I'm Profi1322 and this video will showcase the fastest vehicles in the GTA 5 military vehicles class, organised by overall lap time with the top speed of each vehicle also shown in order to identify any outliers. All 13 military class vehicles have been put through their paces on my testing track and top speed run, and check out the intro video to this series as it likely answers any questions you have about this testing. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on future testing of new vehicles added to GTA 5 and beyond, and check out all other classes in the playlist. This video is brought to you by the YouTube area of my website. Check out every single video series I've done categorised by game type alongside chronological playlists and extra info at profi.com/YouTube. So, just like with the RC Bandito and the Off-Roads class, the RC vehicle is the slowest in the military class as well, with the Invade and Persuade tank in 13th place, with a 3-minute 38-second lap time, making it one of the slowest vehicles in the entire game. I guess it's no surprise, but yeah, it's a very slow one, the Invade and Persuade tank. More tanks follow now, with the Rhino first up, slashing more than a minute off the RC tank's lap time, because, you know, it's actually a proper tank. Although a 2-minute 23 isn't very quick at all in terms of lap time, and its top speed is nothing to write home about either. But I mean, you know, it's a tank, what do you expect? And then just after the Rhino tank, we've got the Kanjali. That rounds out the bottom three, which are all basically just 3 tanks, by being basically a very slightly quicker version of the Rhino. It's almost identical in terms of the way that it handles and everything, but it's just a little bit quicker for top speed, and that ultimately gives it a slightly better lap time. So now we're into the top 10, and we're into the more normal military vehicles, not a tank at least, and we're still not necessarily going to be going very quickly though, because we're not getting any lap times or top speeds that are going to surprise you from these kind of vehicles. With the Vatia first of all in 10th place, which is basically just a worse version of the Barracks since it's slower and holds less people, it's actually pretty close in lap time to the half track, which is worse for top speed than the Vatia but slightly better in the corners, although neither of them managed to break the 1-minute 50-second barrier. And considering there's only 13 vehicles in this class, yeah, overall it's a very slow class on average. Our next vehicle does break the 1-minute 50-second barrier by around 2 seconds with the Chernobog, which is always a challenge to get a lap time out of given its rear wheel steering. Honestly, with this I was just happy to get a clean lap because it's an absolute nightmare to take around the track, but I think I got something pretty representative in the end. And we take a massive jump in lap time now to the Barracks. This is 7 seconds quicker than what we just saw with the Chernobog and 10 seconds quicker than the Vatia with a 1-minute 41.1. It's a big bulky vehicle, but you know, that's pretty good for a vehicle like that. And then our next vehicle isn't that much better for lap time than the Barracks, but it certainly is for top speed. Just missing out on the top 5 and being the first to break the 1-minute 40-second barrier, we've got the Thruster in 6th place for lap time, but as you'd probably expect, it does have the best top speed in the class of 127 miles per hour. It just lacks the manoeuvrability around the track, and that's what leads it to get not that great of a lap time. Now, sneaking into the top 5, just a few seconds per lap quicker than the Thruster, is the Barracks Semi, matching its position for lap time and top speed with 5th across the board. 80 miles per hour for its top speed's not too bad, 137 for its lap time. Again, it's still really slow in general when you consider all vehicles, but in comparison to the military vehicles class, it's not too bad. Obviously it'll be going a lot slower if it's actually got something that it's pulling along with it. We have to wait until our next vehicle in 4th place with the APC before we see something able to get under a 90-second lap. With a 1-minute 28.8, the APC may not have a great top speed, only placing 8th in the class with that 63 miles per hour, but it is actually pretty decent in the corners relative to the rest of the vehicles in this class anyway, allowing it to actually get a pretty solid 4th place. It's certainly not under any threat of losing that 4th place from anything behind it. We've taken a massive jump in lap time again. We take a little bit of a jump again, although not as big as what we've seen, to the Crusader with a 1-minute 24. Now this is the only actually raceable vehicle in this class. You can use the Crusader in SUV races, but you know, it doesn't get upgrades. It's a Pegasus vehicle. You can't store it in a regular garage or anything, so this is completely stock. If it could get upgrades, you'd probably see it go maybe 4 seconds a lap quicker or something, but ultimately it's kind of just like a Mesa or something like that, just a normal sort of SUV in that respect. And then we come to the Scarab, which does get upgrades because it's, you know, it's an arena vehicle, but the nitro boost that usually helps all the other arena cars, it doesn't really help the Scarab. It doesn't really do anything to it. So that 1 minute 24 lap time is pretty close to the Crusader, and, you know, not too bad for a vehicle like this. But yeah, it's nothing special overall across all vehicles, but it's good enough for second place in military. But the significant winner in this class is the Barrage, going a full 12 seconds per lap quicker than the next best. It's not even a contest. I think this is probably, from at least my memory, the biggest gap from first to second. I think Utility has a pretty big one with the Sadler. It might be around the same sort of 12-second area, but I don't think it's quite as big as this. Military certainly has probably some of the biggest gaps from first to second, and then even in between all the places as well. Yeah, the Barrage is basically just a normal sort of off-roader vehicle. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to maneuver around the corners because it is a little bit big and bulky, and, you know, a lot of weight transfer with it, but it's the most like a normal vehicle with, you know, it gets upgrades. It does have a spoiler upgrade as well. You have to add the extra turret on the back, and that increases its traction like a spoiler, unbelievably. So that's where it gets some good time. But yeah, it's just, when you're comparing it to the Scarab, and remember the Scarab also gets basically the same lap time as the Crusader, it's not really a contest at all, and the Barrage is just so much further ahead of everything in the military vehicles class. And that kind of wraps up the 2024 testing series. You know, I am unlikely to do bikes and cycles again, since I don't think I can really bring myself to test things that I hate using, especially given how many of them there are, especially in terms of the bikes. And there's probably even less of a chance for me to test boats, planes and helicopters all over again. You know, my old testing series for those vehicles will have to do for now for those, but drift cars probably also falls into that category because it's unlikely you're going to be using them in a competitive race. Since I've spent the last 2 years consistently retesting all the cars you've seen in this new 2024 testing series on the new gen platforms, I do need to take a little bit of time to sort of not test things for a little bit, and then I'll see how I feel about those extra classes. But, you know, all of the main four-wheeled vehicle classes are now complete as of military being done. As always, you can check the playlist and you'll see all of them all there in order, with any DLC additions at the top of the playlist as well. It does feel good, honestly, to have a complete up-to-date playlist of accurate videos again, because it's been quite a long time. I think 2020 probably since that happened. As well as, you know, having the format all ready for GTA 6 testing. So I'm glad I've done it, even though it has been a lot of work to get to this stage over the last 2 years. And with that in mind, talking about the format, I do have one quick question to wrap things up. For the raceable classes, I used obviously the tier system to organise them in what are now pretty substantial lists of a lot of vehicles, while for the non-raceable classes like this one and emergency, for example, I just organised them by lap time, since there's no point in having a tier system in the first place because you can't race with them. Most of the time the tier system was also organised by lap time, outside of a few outliers, but what do you prefer? Which one? Would you prefer the mainline classes to also be organised just by lap time? Or is the tier system organisation, when we have tier A, tier B, tier C, is that the best solution for those? You know, let me know in the comments, because I'm really interested to hear what you think about it now that you've seen, you know, the whole series over the last year. But that's everything for this video. Please consider supporting on Patreon or become a YouTube member if you want to support this work and get some extra perks for doing so, such as early access to videos and other testing results. And also remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed it or found it helpful, and subscribe for more. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.